Well, it's another busy day on the ranch today. I've got things I need to go check on, some new things that I need to go pick up, some old things that I need to tear down, and again, some new things that I need to build. So I doubt I'm gonna get all of that done today, but I'm just gonna keep chipping away at it and see how much I can do. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. I think love is in the air for those two. The first thing that I need to do this morning is check on my irrigation water, and it looks like it is finished, which is good. Normally I would give you guys a drone shot of this because it's a lot more spectacular of a view from up there, but the drone is still in pieces, so we're not going to have any drone shots for a little while. I've still got 5 cows out here that I'm waiting on to have calves, although I'm not really hopeful for 4 of them. One of them looks like maybe she could be getting close, but the other 4, I don't think it's gonna happen. We've only got about maybe a month left where these girls could potentially have calves, and then otherwise, you know, the bulls were taken out, and it's just not going to happen. So we're going to wait and see what they do, because I have been fooled before, but you know, checking calves is not really high on the priority list these days. Well, this water is done. This year irrigating has been a little bit more of a challenge than what it would be on a normal year. We're in a pretty bad drought, and I'm pumping this water out of the ground, which, you know, for years and years was always fine, but I can start to see that maybe the aquifers are getting low, because it's taking a lot longer to get this water across the pasture than it normally would. But we've had dry years before, and we'll have dry years again, and from what I have seen in my short life is that all it really takes is one really wet year to kind of get things back on track. So now that that is all done, I need to run up the road, and I am picking up a new piece of equipment today. Now, no, it's not anything big like a tractor or a baler or anything like that, but it is something that I'm definitely gonna need, and I'm gonna use it pretty much every day this winter. So let me give you guys a little bit of a backstory. About a month ago, I was contacted by a company called Lakeland, and they were asking me about whether or not I might like to try out a squeeze chute of theirs when I work my cows. Now, I was interested in doing that, but the problem was the timing. The guy got a hold of me about a week before I was gonna work all the cows that you guys saw on video. So it just wasn't really gonna work out to try to have them send a chute out to me, and you know, then I'd have to put everything on hold, and it just wasn't worth it to do that. But Lakeland makes a bunch of different equipment. They don't just make squeeze chutes. They make alleyways, tubs, feeders, pretty much anything that you might need if you're setting up a cattle handling facility. I was able to work out a deal where they would send me out a round bale feeder, because as you guys know, with my recent change to round bales, I'm gonna have to update my facility a little bit to be able to feed these things. So I thought this was a good start, was to get a ring feeder, but I'm not planning to set it up in the traditional way. The reason that I'm having to drive a little ways to go pick this thing up, and why it wasn't delivered straight to my house, is that a friend of mine, while all this was happening, was kind of in the market for a crowd tub and an alleyway. So he ended up ordering that from Lakeland, and when they sent that out to his place, they threw the round bale feeder on that truck.
My new feeder was ready and waiting for me as soon as I showed up, but before I loaded it into the truck, I wanted to check out my friend's new handling facility. This is a pretty sweet little facility with a couple of unique features that I really liked. The first one being this second gate in the crowd tub that pushes the cows into the corner and directs them right into the chute. I don't know if these are commonplace now, but I have never seen one, and man, what a great idea. The other thing that jumped out at me was this adjustable width loading alley. Now this is nothing new, I have seen these before, but still, it's a pretty nice feature. If you want to check out some of the other equipment that Lakeland has to offer, check the description below for a link to their website. With all the admiring done, it was time to get back to work and get this round bale feeder loaded into the back of my truck.
All right, well, we're back home now. I got the feeder home, and I was gonna say I got it home in one piece, but technically I got it home in 3 pieces. But at any rate, it's here, it's ready to go, to be set up. I think I'll talk more about that in another video, just because there's a couple different ideas that I have for this thing, and I might kind of show you guys what those are and get some feedback and see what is gonna maybe be the best way to do this. We're switching gears now because I have another project that's a little bit more pressing and I need to get going on it. So you might have noticed here in the back of the truck, I've got all these bags of concrete. And if you have a really keen eye, you might have also noticed that I've got this bundle of pipe here on the trailer. I've got a big job in front of me, something that's been needing to get done for a while, and that is one of the corral fences back at the ranch. Before I can get started on that project though, I need to cut some limbs down off of that tree because they're gonna be in the way. I actually started this a little bit yesterday and I realized that there's actually a lot more wood that needs to be moved there than I had originally anticipated. So I think what I wanna do is take this tractor over there and use the front end loader that it has to sort of haul those limbs out of there and dump them on the burn pile. This is all well and good, but before I can do that, I need to put some forks on the bucket so that I can have something to actually grab that brush with. Now, way back when, Grandpa used to bolt some forks onto this bucket. You can see that it still has the holes here where he did that. Those forks are long gone, but I have some channel iron here that I can use to make some new ones. So I need to get those built, get the holes drilled in them, and mount them up to this bucket and hopefully kind of recreate what he used to have. I'm gonna use this piece of channel iron that I've got laid across the manure spreader. Originally, this was one long piece, and I used it as sort of a leverage bar to break the bead on my tractor tire. So I would put one end of this up on the tire and then drive another tractor on top of it to break the bead on the tire that was on the ground. That worked fine, but what ended up happening is it bent this thing so it had a big bow in it. So what I've done is I've cut it in half right in the middle. So now these forks, instead of just being straight, they're gonna have like a little curl on the end. That actually might work out to my advantage because it should help kind of hold the stuff on there a little bit better. I need to cut some big holes in these with the plasma cutter, and then we should be able to bolt them right on. these holes are definitely not perfectly round, but that's fine. The bolt fits through there. They don't need to be perfect, especially for what they're going to be doing. Let's go test this thing out. Well, I got over here to the ranch and I've got a little bit of a problem. All the cows are hanging out right where I need to work. So rather than try to work around them and worrying about keeping gates closed and everything, I think I'm gonna run them out into the pasture so I can clean this up a little bit. I've got one more big limb that I need to cut down, and what I did yesterday, and it seemed to work pretty good, as I cut it down and I leave it in the corral with all the leaves on it, the cows will come in and eat all of those leaves off, and maybe even some of the small branches. So then when I'm cutting it up into smaller pieces, it's a little bit easier to deal with because you don't have all those leaves. And I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but Buddy is now back over here with the main cow herd, but he's still pretty friendly. The reason that he is over here now is because he was starting to escape back at our house. That hot wire, I don't know, just didn't seem to faze him anymore. So I figured, you know, this would probably be a better place for him to go in the summertime. Anyway, I'm thinking once I start feeding hay over here though, that I will take him back home. Oh. All right, let's go. Are all in my way, every one of you. Come on. You look down that fence line, you can see how bad it's gotten and why this is becoming such an urgent repair. I've got about, I don't know, 5 posts in a row here that are broken off. The boards are coming off the fence. I think the barbed wire is the only thing holding them in anymore. But they like to lay under here, so you need a good fence, and I think that's why this is so pushed out, because whenever they all get under the tree here, they push on it. So this is long overdue, and I'm glad that it's going to be getting done here in the next week or so. Come on, let's go eat, you guys. I'll be done before you know it. Up. Come on, you too, baby. Go find your mama. Okay, now we can get to work. Well, that might not look like much of a load, but it's actually pretty heavy, so I think I'm gonna go dump. So once I get everything cleaned out, I have to cut this branch above me, which is, I mean, it's like almost a tree in itself. It's pretty big. So I need to cut that down, and then you see what I'm talking about, all these leaves, you know, they just make everything heavier and harder to handle. So I think I'll let the cows munch on those overnight, and then tomorrow morning I'll be able to get the rest of this stuff out, hopefully. through the magic of editing, I've got all these branches cleaned up now, and I'm ready to start cutting on this one. Now this branch is pretty long. Basically, as far as you can see the tree go that way is either connected to this one here or this one here. So it's gonna be quite a lot of brush on the ground. The reason that this needs to come off though is because it's just a little bit too low, and I'm worried that the new fence is probably going to be taller than this. It'll probably maybe not by much, but I would not want this branch to break off on the fence and bend the pipe. So yeah, it's just going to have to go. Plus I'm going to need to get the tractor in here to dig these holes, and this is going to be in my way. So what I'm kind of thinking of doing is cutting this little end piece off first. It's not huge, and then I'll have this pretty big chunk of wood here that I could then cut off here. But while I cut it here, I'm thinking about maybe parking the tractor under here and just putting the forks right underneath this thing, so when it falls, it just falls onto the tractor, and then I don't have to cut it up any further or try to manhandle this thing. That sounds like the smart way to do things. So let's get at it. There she goes. All right. Okay, this branch here, I think is maybe gonna kind of fall weird. I'm not really sure. The way it's like bowed over, and I'm not really sure where the pressure is most, but it looks like it should stay within the corral, which is ideal. If it falls on the fence, then I've got a whole new problem. But I'm gonna let this one hit the ground. I'll let the cows come in and eat the leaves off of it, and then I think I'll bring the tractor back over here and catch the rest of this big limb, and then I'll have everything out of my way for the fence. So yeah, that's the goal for today. So let's do it. All right, now that I've got all my branches down that would have potentially been in my way on that fence line, I've got one more job that I need to do with this tractor while I'm here. In my corral, the cow's source of water is down here in the corner, and this fence right here is the one that I'm gonna be replacing. So that makes a little bit of a problem for me, because while I've got this fence taken down and I'm working on putting the new one up, the cows still need to come get water. So they're not going to be able to get it from this trough. That's just not going to work. I don't think I'll be able to finish the fence within a week when they come back up into the front pastures and are going to need to access this water. So what I'm going to have to do is block off a little bit of an area in this corral and put a temporary water trough out there. That way they'll have plenty of water, and I don't have to try to rush and finish this faster than I'll probably be able to. This water trough that usually goes right here is what I'm gonna use for my temporary trough. Now, I almost got rid of this because it cracked and it was leaking water all over the place. So I've had the water shut off on it for a while, but I decided rather than get rid of it, because these things are so expensive, that I would try to repair it with JB Weld. So I've got 2 layers of JB Weld on this thing. I mean, I really just need it to kind of hold together for a week or maybe 2. And if the JB Weld won't hold longer than that, then this will make a good brooder for baby chicks. But I'm hoping that it can at least hold up that long, so that these cows have a nice big water trough that they can get to while I'm working on that fence. Now, if it'll just stay on there, we'll have it made. All right, let's go get a hose and see if this thing will hold water. All right, well, I think it's gonna take that thing probably a couple hours to fill up all the way. That's a 300-gallon tank, and it ain't coming out too fast. But I do think that I have enough water in the bottom now that I can let the cows back in here. The only concern would be if there was not enough water in that tank, it would be too light. If they decided to explore or push on it a little bit, they could easily slide it. But I think there's enough water in there now where, I mean, I'm not saying they couldn't do it, but it's probably less likely that they will. The next step will be to attach some temporary panels to this post that go back over to that wooden post, therefore blocking off this whole area, and I'll be free to take my time working on that fence. The good thing about doing it this way is that they'll still have plenty of access to water, and should there be some sort of issue or problem, I can still get them back into the working corrals and get them in the chute if I need to. I'm not expecting to have to do that, but you just never know. But I think I am gonna call it quits here today because it is really hot, and I've kind of reached the point where it's like I'm either gonna go home or I'm gonna jump in that water trough. So I think going home, probably the better decision of the two. Thanks for hanging out at the ranch with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.